Yeah, that's a big one, and it's tough to do. With a lot of it is like having good parts and having good parts availability and people and having some of that infrastructure on site. But really.
From sleeping on a friend's couch to running a gold mine worth over $15 million, Parker Schnabel's journey is the kind of story Hollywood could never script. By 24, he had already mined over $13 million worth of gold. Today, he commands crews that earn more than doctors, drives machines that cost more than most homes. And yet, behind the fame, there's a side of Parker that gold rush cameras never show. The sleepless nights, the broken relationships, and the personal battles that almost cost him everything. Let's uncover the rise, the risks, and the real story behind television's youngest mining mogul, Parker Schnabel. Parker Schnabel didn't grow up like most kids. While others played with toy trucks, he drove the real thing. At just 5 years old, he sat behind the controls of heavy machinery at his grandfather's mine in Haines, Alaska, the legendary Big Nugget Mine. His grandfather, John Schnabel, wasn't just a miner. He was a teacher, a mentor, and the foundation of Parker's entire life. In a town with fewer than 2,000 people, surrounded by harsh wilderness, Parker learned early that survival came from hard work, not luck. While his classmates were learning multiplication tables, Parker was learning to operate loaders, dozers, and excavators. Winters were long, summers were short, and if something broke, you fixed it yourself. Those lessons forged a work ethic that would later define his entire career. By the time Parker turned 16, everything changed. His grandfather's health began to fail. John Schnabel, the man who had built Big Nugget Mine from the ground up, passed away in 2016. At the age of 96, the loss hit Parker hard. He wasn't just saying goodbye to a grandfather. He was losing the person who shaped his purpose. At an age when most kids were preparing for college, Parker was inheriting a mine and the weight of an entire legacy. He didn't walk away. He stepped up. Taking full control of Big Nugget Mine, Parker poured every ounce of focus into keeping his grandfather's dream alive. Then came a bold move that shocked everyone. Instead of using his college fund, $663,000, for school, Parker invested it all in new mining equipment. Every dollar was a risk, but he believed in one thing: the dirt would pay him back. And it did. Parker was just 16 when he first appeared on Discovery's Gold Rush. The producers weren't convinced at first. A teenager leading a full-scale mining operation? It didn't sound like a story that could hold an audience. But when the cameras rolled, Parker proved them wrong. He spoke like someone twice his age, broke down mining strategies with precision, and ran equipment like it was second nature. His passion wasn't for show. It was real. The producers took a chance, signing him for $25,000 per episode. Within a few seasons, that number quadrupled. Parker was now earning up to $100,000 per episode, but unlike most young millionaires, he didn't splurge. No mansions, no sports cars. He invested back into his crew and his equipment. Because to Parker, gold wasn't just wealth, it was proof of worth. It was in the Klondike where Parker proved he wasn't just lucky. He was brilliant. At only 20 years old, he led his crew through brutal conditions and pulled off a staggering 29 and 9-ounce gold haul, worth over $1.7 million. That moment was more than a payday. It was validation. While other 20-year-olds were writing college essays, Parker was writing his name into mining history. From that season on, Parker became the face of Gold Rush. Viewers saw him not just as a miner, but as a phenomenon, the kid who could outthink, outwork, and outperform men twice his age. In 2023, Parker made his biggest gamble yet: a $15 million purchase of Dominion Creek. The site was massive, rumored to hold up to $200 million worth of gold, still buried deep in the ground. But there was a catch. To break even, Parker had to pull 10,000 ounces of gold per year for 6 straight years. Failure wasn't an option. From day one, Dominion tested him. The ground was frozen, the machinery broke down, and progress stalled. For weeks, the crew managed to dig up only 135 ounces, nowhere near the target. Most people would have panicked. Parker adapted. He bought better equipment, invested $540,000 in new water pumps, and changed strategy on the fly. By mid-season, his gamble began to pay off. Dominion was producing again, slowly but steadily. Parker wasn't just mining gold, he was mining resilience. Just when people thought he'd play it safe, Parker doubled down. In February 2025, he bought 2 more claims, Gold Run and Sulphur Creek. For $2.5 million, it was a decision that split his crew. Some thought he was digging himself into deeper debt. Others saw genius, but Parker stayed calm. He said he'd already accepted the risk, whether it ended in congratulations or regret. Within days, his instincts paid off. At Sulphur Creek, his team pulled 141 ounces of gold in just 2 days. A massive turnaround. That move became one of the most talked about moments in Gold Rush season 15. It reminded everyone that Parker's empire wasn't built on comfort. It was built on courage. No story about Parker Schnabel is complete without mentioning Tony Beets, the larger-than-life miner who became both mentor and rival. Their relationship began with a deal that seemed simple. Parker leased mining ground from Tony in the Klondike, but the royalty terms were brutal. Tony took 15% of Parker's first 2,500 ounces, increasing by 5% every 2,500 after that. By the time Parker hit 6,000 ounces, he was handing over a quarter of his gold. When Parker realized how unfair the deal was, tensions exploded. During Season 8, he confronted Tony on camera, in what became one of Gold Rush's most explosive moments. Parker accused Tony of greed. Tony called him reckless. The shouting match ended with Parker storming off and delivering the now famous line, "Then you can go faux yourself." Their feud became reality TV legend. But behind the scenes, there was mutual respect. Tony later admitted privately that Parker's recovery rates and efficiency were something to learn from. Even the veteran knew the kid was special. If Tony Beets was Parker's rival in business, Todd Hoffman was his rival in fame. Their conflict defined the Gold Rush for years. Ambition versus experience, precision versus passion. When Parker turned Todd's discarded wash plant into a success, the rivalry went from quiet tension to open war. Todd accused him of arrogance and disrespect toward older miners, while Parker saw Todd as a symbol of outdated thinking. The divide wasn't just on screen. Crews clashed, tempers flared, and production crews had to step in to stop fights from breaking out. By 2018, the tension broke. Todd Hoffman left Gold Rush. His mining operation had fallen behind, while Parker's kept growing. In interviews later, Todd admitted that the pressure, comparisons, and toxicity of the show drove him away. It was the end of one era, and the solidification of Parker Schnabel as the show's centerpiece. Away from the mines, Parker's personal life told a different story, one far more fragile. In 2016, during filming in Australia, he met Ashley Yule, a veterinary nurse with a bright spirit. She joined him in the Klondike, worked in the Gold Room, and became part of his journey. But success came with sacrifice. Parker later admitted that he didn't prioritize the relationship. After 2 years together, they broke up. On air, he called it one of his biggest failures. Ashley quietly deleted all photos and returned to Australia. Parker never said much more, but his silence said everything. Rumors later linked him with Sheena Cowell, a British TV producer, and later with Tyler Mahoney, the Australian gold prospector he teamed up with on Parker's trail. Fans noticed the chemistry, but both kept things professional. Through it all, one thing became clear. Parker was married to his work, and gold came before everything else. In 2024, Parker's world nearly collapsed. A major equipment failure at Dominion Creek cost him $2.3 million in lost gold recovery. Days later, a 17-day shutdown added another $1.5 million loss. By August, he had only $78,000 left, barely enough to keep the machines running. Desperate, Parker pawned his most prized possession, his 1957 Chevrolet Bel Air, inherited from his late grandfather. He used the $115,000 payout to cover crew salaries. Then came the breaking point. On August 28th, he gathered his team and gave them a choice: walk away without penalty or stay and fight with him. 3 key members stayed, including his longtime right-hand man, Mitch Blaschke. 2 weeks later, they hit a miracle pay streak, powered out in 172 ounces in 1 week, worth $3.5 million. It saved the entire operation. Discovery's cameras caught parts of it, but the raw reality, the fear, the exhaustion, the emotion, was deemed too intense to air. Only those who were there truly knew how close Parker came to losing everything. Despite earning over $2 million per season, Parker doesn't live like a star. He's been known to crash on friends' couches and prefers dirt under his boots to city lights. Reports say he owns homes in Alaska and the Yukon, including a modest $950,000 property near Haines. But ask him about luxury, and he'll shrug it off. "I don't really spend money on possessions," he once said. Instead, he invests in experiences, hunting trips, crew vacations, even a 3-day Vegas run. He once took his father to the World Series. For Parker, money is fuel for memories, not status. His vehicles tell the same story. Rugged, practical and powerful, a custom Ford Raptor, a Mercedes G-Wagon, a Jeep Wrangler, and a fleet of ATVs scattered across his claims. From that 5-year-old boy behind the controls of a dozer to the 30-year-old man running multi-million-dollar mines, Parker Schnabel's story isn't just about gold. It's about grit. It's about grit. He's not chasing fame, he's chasing progress. Every ounce he pulls from the ground is a reminder of his grandfather's belief. Work hard, stay humble, and never stop digging. Parker once said, "Gold mining isn't about luck. It's about persistence." And maybe that's the real treasure. Not what's buried in the dirt, but what's built inside the man who digs it. He's the face of a global franchise, the leader of hundreds and a millionaire many times over. But deep down, Parker Schnabel is still that kid from Haines, Alaska, the one who learned that sometimes the hardest ground hides the richest gold. And for Parker, the digging never stops.